The Hotel on Riverside, a story of deception and redemption. The little blue dot on my phone screen wasn't moving toward her mother's house in Evanston. It was stationary at the Riverside Hotel downtown, the same five-star hotel where we'd spent our wedding night 12 years ago. My wife Sarah had kissed me goodbye 30 minutes earlier, telling me she needed to help her mother with some urgent paperwork. She'd been wearing her good perfume, the expensive one, the one she saved for special occasions. I sat in my car in our driveway watching that blue dot and felt my world tilt on its axis, because I knew, with absolute gut-wrenching certainty, that Sarah wasn't helping her mother with anything. She was meeting someone at our hotel, in our city. While I sat home with our two daughters, age 7 and 9, who were inside right now doing homework and asking when Mommy would be home. My name is Michael Rivera, and this is the story of how I discovered my wife's affair, lost everything I thought I knew about my life, and somehow found the strength to rebuild myself into someone I never imagined I could be. Let me take you back to the beginning, not the beginning of Sarah's affair, though we'll get to that, but to the beginning of us, to the Michael Rivera, who existed before that Wednesday afternoon when everything shattered. I met Sarah Chen when we were both 26, working at competing marketing firms in downtown Chicago. We met at an industry conference, bonded over terrible hotel coffee and complaints about our respective bosses, and exchanged numbers. 3 months later, we were inseparable. 6 months after that, I proposed. Sarah was everything I thought I wanted. Beautiful, stunning, actually, with long black hair and almond-shaped eyes that crinkled when she laughed. Smart. She had an MBA from Northwestern and could analyze market trends like nobody's business. Ambitious. She was the youngest account director at her firm, and she chose me, Michael Rivera, the guy from a working-class Puerto Rican family in Pilsen, who'd put himself through state school working 2 jobs, who'd clawed his way into the marketing world through sheer determination and 80-hour work weeks. Sarah came from money. Her parents were Chinese immigrants who'd built a successful import-export business. They lived in a mansion in Evanston, drove luxury cars, belonged to country clubs. When Sarah brought me home to meet them, I felt completely out of place in my off-the-rack suit and 10-year-old Honda. But Sarah didn't care about any of that, or so I thought. "I love you for who you are, not where you came from," she told me the night I proposed. "You're genuine, Michael. You're real. Everyone in my world is fake, all image, no substance. You're different." We got married at the Drake Hotel. Her parents paid for everything, and I mean everything. The guest list topped 300 people, most of them her parents' business associates and society friends. My family filled maybe 30 seats. My mother wore her best dress, the one she'd bought for my sister's quinceañera, and tried not to look overwhelmed by the opulence. We honeymooned in Bali for 2 weeks, stayed in overwater bungalows, drank expensive wine, and made love like we'd never have to return to reality. On our last night, Sarah held my hand and said, "Promise me something. Promise we'll always be honest with each other, no matter what." "I promise," I said. She kissed me. I promised too. We came home to the townhouse her parents had bought us as a wedding gift, a gorgeous 3-bedroom in Lincoln Park worth at least $800,000. I'd insisted on paying the property taxes and utilities, some pathetic attempt to maintain my pride. Sarah had agreed, smiling indulgently like I was a child playing at being a grown-up. Our first few years were good, really good. We both threw ourselves into our careers. Sarah became a senior account director, then a VP. I worked my way up to creative director at my firm, winning awards for campaigns that blended cultural authenticity with mainstream appeal. We talked about kids but kept pushing it off. "When we're more established," Sarah would say, "when the timing is better." Then, when I was 31 and Sarah was 30, she got pregnant. Accidentally, according to her, though I wondered if she'd secretly stopped taking her pills. I didn't mind. I was thrilled. Lily was born on a cold February morning after 18 hours of labor. I held my daughter for the first time and cried like a baby myself. She was perfect. tiny and red-faced and perfect. Sarah took 12 weeks of maternity leave, went back to work, and seemed different, distant. She complained constantly about being tired, about the baby keeping her up, about how her body had changed. I tried to be understanding, to take on more of the childcare, to give her space. "It's just postpartum stuff," my mother said when I confided in her. "Be patient, mijo. It gets better." It did get better, somewhat. Sarah adjusted to motherhood, though she never seemed to enjoy it the way I did. She hired a nanny, expensive, of course, but necessary for her career. She went back to traveling for work, sometimes for days at a time. When Lily was 2, Sarah got pregnant again. This time, it definitely wasn't planned. She cried when she saw the positive test. "I can't do this again," she said. "I can't. I'm barely holding it together as it is." "We'll figure it out," I promised. "We'll hire more help. We'll make it work." Emma was born in September, another perfect little girl with Sarah's eyes and my dimples. This time, Sarah took only 8 weeks of leave. She was back in the office before Emma was even 2 months old, leaving me to handle morning routines before work and evening routines after. I didn't complain. I loved being a dad. Loved the chaos of bath time and bedtime stories. Loved the way Lily would climb into my lap and ask me to read her favorite book for the 100th time. Loved the weight of Emma sleeping on my chest while I worked on my laptop. But I missed my wife. Sarah was physically present but emotionally absent. She'd come home from work exhausted, eat dinner in silence, help with bedtime routines mechanically, and then retreat to her home office for just a few more emails. By the time she came to bed, I'd usually be asleep. On weekends, she had networking events, client dinners, business conferences. "This is what success requires," she said when I asked if she could scale back a little. "You know that, Michael. You're in this industry too." I was in the industry. I knew the demands. But I also knew plenty of executives who made time for their families, who left the office at reasonable hours, who prioritized their children's soccer games and school plays. Sarah prioritized work, always work. Our sex life dwindled to maybe twice a month, and even then it felt perfunctory, obligatory. I initiated most of the time. She complied, but rarely seemed enthusiastic. "I'm just tired," she'd say. "It's not you," but it felt like me. It felt like I wasn't enough for her anymore. Not exciting enough, not successful enough, not whatever enough to capture her attention the way I had when we first met. I threw myself into being the best father I could be. If Sarah wasn't going to be present, I would be. I coached Lily's t-ball team. I volunteered at their school. I took them to the park every Sunday, to the zoo, to museums. I learned to French braid hair and paint tiny fingernails and have pretend tea parties with stuffed animals. My career stalled somewhat. I turned down promotions that would require travel or longer hours. I left the office at 5:30 every day to pick up the girls from after-school care. I took vacation days for school field trips and pediatrician appointments. My colleagues called me a work-life balance warrior with a mixture of admiration and pity. They saw a man who'd chosen family over ambition. They didn't see a man desperately trying to compensate for an absent wife. Sarah's mother, Margaret, noticed. "Sarah is working too much," she said one Sunday when she'd come to visit the girls. "A mother should be home with her children." "We all have to make choices, Mom," Sarah snapped. "Not everyone can be a stay-at-home wife living off their husband's money." Margaret's face had hardened. "I built that business alongside your father. Don't you dare diminish my contributions." "I'm not. I'm just saying I have different priorities. My career matters to me." "More than your family? That's not fair." I'd intervened before it escalated further, but Margaret's words stayed with me. Did Sarah's career matter more than her family, than us? I tried to talk to her about it one night, about 3 months before the Wednesday that changed everything. "I feel like we're roommates, not partners," I said carefully. We were in bed, both on our phones, her answering work emails, me scrolling through nothing. "When's the last time we went on a date? Just the two of us?" "I don't know. We've been busy." "Sarah, I'm serious. We need to reconnect. We're drifting apart." She set down her phone and looked at me. "What do you want me to say, Michael? Yes, I'm working a lot. Yes, I'm tired. But this is who I am. I thought you understood that when you married me. I married someone who wanted a partnership, who wanted a family. I do want those things, but I also want a career. I want to be successful. I want to prove that I'm more than just Margaret and David Chen's daughter, more than just someone who married well and popped out a couple of kids." "Is that how you see our daughters? As something you popped out?" Her face softened slightly. "No, of course not. I love Lily and Emma. But motherhood doesn't have to be my entire identity. Why is that so hard for you to understand?" "I'm not asking you to make it your entire identity. I'm asking you to be present, to show up, to choose us sometimes instead of always choosing work." "I do choose you." "When? When was the last time you came to one of Lily's games, or read Emma a bedtime story, or asked me about my day? You're being unfair." "Am I? Really?" She turned away from me. "I don't want to fight about this. I don't want to fight either. I want to fix this." "There's nothing to fix, Michael. This is our life. This is our reality. If you can't accept that—" She stopped herself. "If I can't accept that, what?" "Nothing. Never mind. I'm going to sleep." She turned off her bedside lamp and rolled over, effectively ending the conversation. I lay there in the darkness, feeling the distance between us like a physical thing, a wall neither of us knew how to climb. That was 3 months ago. 3 months of increasing distance, of perfunctory conversations, of ships passing in the night. And now, that Wednesday afternoon in late October, I sat in my car watching a blue dot on my phone screen that represented my wife's location. A wife who was supposed to be at her mother's house, but was instead at a hotel downtown. I need to back up and explain how I even had access to her location. 2 weeks earlier, Lily had begged for a phone. "All my friends have phones, Daddy. I'm the only one who doesn't." She was 9. Too young, in my opinion, but Sarah had surprised me by agreeing. "It's practical," Sarah said. "She can call us if there's an emergency, and we can track her location if we need to." We'd set up a family tracking app, one of those services that lets you see where everyone is in real time. It was supposed to be for the kids' safety. Sarah and I were both on it too, more as an afterthought than anything else. I'd never looked at Sarah's location before, never had a reason to. But that Wednesday after she left for her mother's house wearing her good perfume and her best jeans I'd complimented her on, jeans she'd smiled at and said she wanted to look nice for her mother, something nagged at me. Call it intuition, call it paranoia, call it the accumulated weight of 3 months of distance and dismissal. I opened the app, and there it was, that blue dot. Not in Evanston where her mother lived, but downtown at the Riverside Hotel. I stared at my phone for a solid 5 minutes, my mind spinning through possibilities. Maybe it was a work thing. Maybe she had a client meeting at the hotel. Maybe she'd stopped there before going to her mother's, but she'd lied. She'd said she was going directly to her mother's house, and she was wearing her good perfume. I called her mother. "Margaret, hi, it's Michael. Is Sarah there?" "Sarah? No, dear. I haven't seen her today. Is everything all right?" My stomach dropped. "Yeah, everything's fine. I must have gotten my wires crossed. She mentioned stopping by, but maybe I misunderstood." "Well, tell her to call me when she can. I'd love to see the girls this weekend." "Will do. Thanks, Margaret." I hung up and sat there, feeling sick. She'd lied to me. Directly, deliberately lied. I should have confronted her immediately. I should have called or texted or driven to that hotel, but something stopped me. Some instinct told me I needed to know more before I acted. I needed evidence, not just suspicions. So I waited. I went inside, helped Lily with her math homework, played blocks with Emma, made dinner. All while that blue dot stayed exactly where it was, at the Riverside Hotel. Sarah came home at 7:30, full of apologies about how her mother had needed so much help with paperwork. "You know how she is," Sarah said, kissing my cheek quickly. "Once she starts talking, It's impossible to leave. I smiled and nodded and hated myself for not calling her out right then, but I needed to be sure. I needed to know if this was a one-time thing or a pattern. Over the next week, I watched her location obsessively. Most days, it matched her stated plans: office, client meetings, occasional shopping trips. But 3 times in that week, when she said she was somewhere else, that blue dot appeared at the Riverside Hotel. Always the same hotel. Always for 2 to 3 hours. Always when she'd told me she was somewhere else. I started looking for other signs. I checked our credit card statements. Nothing unusual. I checked her phone when she was in the shower, password protected, and I didn't know it. I looked for changes in her behavior, her appearance, her attitude. The only thing I noticed was that she seemed happier, lighter. She smiled more, hummed while getting dressed, put on makeup for work meetings with more care than usual. She was having an affair, I knew it. I just didn't have proof. Saturday afternoon, Jessica called. I stared at her name on my screen, feeling bile rise in my throat, but I answered, keeping my voice cheerful. "Hey, Jess! Kat, are you free for lunch today? I'm dying to catch up." The audacity, the sheer breathtaking audacity. "Oh, I wish I could, but David and I are doing a whole weekend thing. You know, keeping the romance alive after the anniversary." I injected enthusiasm into my voice. "Rain check? Of course, you two are so cute together. Honestly, you guys give me hope that lasting love exists." I wanted to vomit. Instead, I laughed. "We're very lucky. You really are. David's one of the good ones." After we hung up, I sat there for a long moment staring at nothing. This was the woman I'd called when I'd had my first miscarriage. The woman who'd held me while I sobbed. The woman who'd helped me clean out my mother's house after she died. Who'd packed up 20 years of memories and hadn't complained once. The woman who was now sleeping with my husband and helping him plan to rob me. I thought about confronting them. I thought about a lot of things. But I'd spent 15 years in the corporate world, navigating office politics and strategic planning. I knew that the person who struck first didn't always win. The person who struck smartest did. So I kept gathering evidence. Sunday, I told David I was going to visit my father in Milwaukee. A complete lie, since my father had passed away 5 years ago. But David was so distracted, he didn't even register the impossibility. Instead, I rented a small office space in the Loop under a fake name, using cash. This would be my war room. I set up a new laptop paid for with cash from my personal account that David didn't know about. A secret emergency fund I'd maintained since my mother had drilled into me the importance of having running away money. Mom had been smarter than I'd given her credit for. I transferred all my evidence to the new laptop. Screenshots of bank records, credit card statements, text messages, the camera footage, everything. I made multiple backup copies on encrypted drives. Then I started making calls. First, to a divorce attorney. Not just any divorce attorney, Rita Morrison, the absolute best in Chicago. She was known for absolutely destroying cheating spouses in court, for finding hidden assets and buried money. She was expensive, but I could afford her, especially once I got done with David. Rita agreed to see me Monday morning. Next, I called a private investigator recommended by Rita's office. Martin Chen had 20 years of experience in corporate fraud investigation and personal surveillance. His rates were astronomical, but I didn't care. "I need everything," I told him. "Financial records, surveillance, communications, everything." "How long has this been going on?" Martin's voice was professional, kind. "At least a year, maybe longer." "And you want this for a divorce case?" "Yes, and possibly criminal charges." There was a pause. "Criminal?" "Tax fraud, forgery, possibly embezzlement. My husband is a lawyer. He's been very careful, but not careful enough. I'll need access to his records. I have them, all of them." Another pause. "Mrs. Wells, I have to ask, are you certain you want to go down this road? Once we start pulling these threads?" "I'm certain. He tried to steal my life. I'm going to make sure he regrets it." That night, David came home with flowers and a bottle of wine. "I've been neglecting you," he said, pulling me into his arms. "The Henderson case is almost done. Let's go away next weekend, just you and me, that bed and breakfast in Wisconsin you love." I melted into his embrace, let him kiss me, let him lead me upstairs. And while we made love, while he touched me and whispered sweet words and pretended he loved me, I thought about Jessica, about them in this same bed, about his promises to her. When it was over and David fell asleep, I lay there in the darkness, tears finally coming. Not because my heart was broken, though it was, but because I'd let myself be so completely deceived. I'd prided myself on being smart, on being observant, on being nobody's fool, and I'd been the biggest fool of all. Monday morning, I called in sick to work for the first time in 3 years. David had left early for a breakfast meeting that I now knew was probably with Jessica. I waited 30 minutes after he left, then drove to Rita Morrison's office in the financial district. Rita was in her mid-50s, impeccably dressed in a navy suit, with steel gray hair cut in a sharp bob. Her office was all glass and chrome, with a view of Lake Michigan that probably cost more than most people's houses. She gestured for me to sit in one of the leather chairs across from her massive desk. "Tell me everything," she said, "and don't leave anything out." I did. For 2 hours, I walked her through the evidence I'd gathered. She took notes, asked pointed questions, occasionally whistled under her breath. "This is good," she finally said. "This is very good. The tax fraud alone could land him in serious trouble. The forged signature on the loan documents, that's a felony. And the hidden assets, we can definitely recover those. All of them." "I want him destroyed," I said quietly. "Not just divorced, destroyed." Rita studied me over her reading glasses. "Be very sure that's what you want. Once we file, once we start exposing what he's done, there's no going back. Your life will be in the news. People will take sides. It will get ugly." "My life is already ugly. I just didn't know it yet." She nodded slowly. "Okay then, here's what we're going to do." The next 3 weeks were the strangest of my life. I existed in 2 worlds simultaneously, the real world where I was gathering evidence and building a legal case, and the false world where I played the devoted wife to a man I now despised. Martin Chen proved to be worth every penny. Within a week, he'd confirmed what I already knew. David and Jessica had been having an affair for 13 months. He provided me with detailed surveillance reports, photographs, and even audio recordings from their meetings in hotel rooms, restaurants, and Jessica's apartment. The affair had started at our New Year's Eve party, of all things. I'd invited Jessica, as I always did. She'd broken up with her boyfriend a few months earlier and was feeling lonely. I'd encouraged David to make sure she felt included, to dance with her, to make her laugh. What a magnificent idiot I'd been. According to Martin's investigation, they'd started with texts and late-night phone calls, then coffee meetings that turned into lunch dates. By March of last year, just 2 months after that New Year's party, they were sleeping together. For over a year, they'd been conducting their affair right under my nose, meeting at hotels downtown, taking business trips together. David claiming lawyer conferences, Jessica claiming real estate conventions. They'd even spent a weekend in my mother's lake house last summer, the one I'd inherited and kept meaning to visit but never had time for. They'd defiled my mother's memory in the house where I'd grown up. But the affair, as devastating as it was, wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the financial plotting. Martin traced the money David had moved. The $75,000 from our joint accounts had gone into a new account David had opened under his name only. The $50,000 loan on our house, with my forged signature, had indeed gone to the Cayman Islands. But Martin found that David had been planning to transfer even more money offshore. He'd also discovered that David had taken out a massive life insurance policy on me 6 months ago. $2 million, with him as the sole beneficiary. When Martin told me about the life insurance policy, I felt cold all over. "You don't think—" I couldn't finish the sentence. Martin's face was grim. "I think your husband is drowning in debt and has been for a while. His law practice isn't as successful as you believe. He's been taking money from client trust accounts. embezzlement. He's in deep with some bad people. The affair with your friend. I think it started as genuine attraction, but now it's become part of an exit strategy. An exit strategy that includes me dying? I can't prove intent, but Mrs. Wells, I've been doing this a long time. A man who commits forgery, tax fraud, and embezzlement? A man who's stolen from his own wife? That's a man who's desperate. And desperate people do desperate things. I filed for divorce the next day, but I didn't tell David, not yet. Rita's strategy was specific. We needed to freeze David's access to all our joint assets before he knew what was happening. We needed to secure evidence before he could destroy it. And we needed to coordinate with law enforcement so that when the divorce hit, criminal charges would immediately follow. The criminal case will take longer to build, Rita explained. But the IRS is very interested in your husband's unreported income. And the Illinois State Bar is interested in his embezzlement from client trust accounts. Once we provide them with your evidence, they'll launch their own investigations. By the time David realizes what's happening, it'll be too late for him to cover his tracks. So I waited, and I gathered more evidence. I went to work every day, performed my job flawlessly, and spent my lunch hours in my secret office, compiling documentation. My colleagues noticed I'd lost weight, that I looked tired. They assumed I was overworked. They had no idea I was orchestrating the complete destruction of my husband's life. At home, I played the perfect wife. I cooked David's favorite meals. I laughed at his jokes. I made love to him when he wanted, though it made my skin crawl. Every time he touched me, I thought about Jessica. Every time he said, "I love you," I thought about his plans to divorce me and take everything. Every time I kissed him goodnight, I thought about that life insurance policy. Jessica called frequently, wanting to get together. I made excuses. Work was crazy. David and I were spending quality time together. I wasn't feeling well. She seemed anxious, pressing harder than usual for us to meet. Martin informed me that Jessica and David were fighting. She wanted him to tell me about the affair. He kept stalling, saying the timing wasn't right. According to audio Martin had captured, Jessica was threatening to tell me herself. "Let her," I told Rita. "It'll only make our case stronger." But Jessica didn't tell me. Instead, she sent me a text one Wednesday evening. "Can you talk? It's important." I stared at that text for a long time. Part of me, the part that remembered our 20-year friendship, wanted to call her, to hear her confession, to maybe understand why she'd betrayed me so completely. But the smarter part of me, the part that had spent 3 weeks building an airtight legal case, knew that anything she said to me now could compromise everything. I texted back, "Crazy day tomorrow. Can it wait until the weekend?" "Sure. Love you, Kat." I didn't respond to that. That Friday, March 31st, exactly 3 weeks after I'd installed the camera, Rita called me into her office. "We're ready," she said. "The IRS has what they need. The State Bar has what they need. We have everything we need. Are you sure you want to do this?" I thought about the past 15 years. I thought about putting David through law school while working full-time. I thought about the 3 miscarriages and how David had been too busy to come to the hospital for the last one. I thought about my mother's death and how David had gone on a work trip 3 days after her funeral. I thought about every holiday I'd spent cooking for his family, every sacrifice I'd made, every dream I'd deferred for the sake of our future. I thought about Jessica, my best friend, the woman I'd trusted with my deepest secrets. I thought about that life insurance policy. "Yes," I said, "I'm sure." "Okay, then here's what's going to happen." The plan was simple, elegant, and devastating. Monday morning, April 3rd. David would be served with divorce papers at his office by a process server in front of his colleagues and partners. Simultaneously, agents from the IRS and the Illinois State Bar would arrive with search warrants for his office and our home. His assets would be frozen, his bank accounts locked, his law license suspended pending investigation, and I would be nowhere near him when it happened. Rita had arranged for me to stay at a secure location, a hotel suite downtown registered under her firm's name. Martin Chen and one of his associates would be with me at all times, for my protection. Because once David realized what was happening, there was no telling how he'd react. That weekend, the last weekend of my marriage, was surreal. Saturday, David took me to brunch at a trendy place in Wicker Park. He held my hand across the table, told me I looked beautiful, talked about our upcoming trip to Italy. "I've been thinking," he said, playing with my fingers, "maybe we should renew our vows while we're there. Make it official. Start fresh." I looked into his eyes, those blue eyes I'd fallen in love with 20 years ago, and saw nothing but a stranger. "That sounds perfect," I said, smiling. That night, we had dinner at home. I'd made lasagna, his favorite. We drank wine, watched a movie, made love. When he fell asleep beside me, I lay there memorizing the ceiling, knowing it was the last night I'd spend in this house, in this bed, with this man. I didn't sleep at all. Sunday was quiet. David had actual work to do, or so he claimed. I'd learned that about 60% of his work excuses were legitimate. The other 40% involved Jessica. That day I believed him. He seemed genuinely stressed about a case, and Martin hadn't reported any suspicious activity. I spent the day packing, carefully, subtly, a few clothes in a gym bag, important documents I'd need, my grandmother's jewelry, the pieces that mattered, photos from before my life became a lie. I told David I was taking things to be cleaned or repaired. He barely noticed. That evening, Jessica called again. "Kat, we really need to talk." "Is everything okay?" I kept my voice concerned, friendly. "Not exactly. Can I come over?" My heart pounded. Now it's 8 p.m. on a Sunday. "I know, please, Kat. It's important." I glanced at David, who was absorbed in his laptop. "Let me check with David. Hold on." I muted the phone. There were photos. Intimate photos. Sarah in lingerie I'd never seen, Sarah in hotel rooms, Sarah smiling at the camera in a way she never smiled at me anymore. And there were plans, discussions about what happens next, about how Sarah was tired of living a lie, about how Tyler was going to divorce his current girlfriend and Sarah was going to figure things out with me. Figure things out. Like I was a problem to be solved. Like our marriage and our children were obstacles to her happiness. I photographed everything, every message, every photo, every damning piece of evidence. Then I put the phone back exactly where I'd found it and went to the bathroom and threw up. When Sarah came back from her run, glowing and happy, I was in the kitchen making lunch for the girls. "Good run?" I asked. "Great. I think I'm finally getting back in shape." She'd always been in perfect shape. This wasn't about fitness. This was about having an excuse to be out of the house, away from us, living her secret life. I sent everything to Martin that afternoon. He called me within an hour. "This is solid, Michael. Really solid. Text messages, photos, clear admission of an affair that's been ongoing for 8 months. Combined with my surveillance, you have everything you need for a divorce case." "What about custody?" "The affair itself won't automatically affect custody. Illinois courts don't punish adultery in custody decisions. But her pattern of absence, of prioritizing work and this relationship over her children, that could be relevant. Keep documenting her involvement in their daily lives, or lack thereof." I'd already started. I kept a detailed log. Every school event she missed, every bedtime she wasn't home for, every morning she left before the girls woke up. The evidence was stark. I was the primary caregiver in every meaningful way. Sarah was the weekend parent at best. "There's something else you should know," Martin continued. "Tyler Morrison is in some financial trouble. His company is leveraged heavily, and there are rumors of potential bankruptcy. I think that's why he's been using the corporate account for hotel rooms. He's cash poor." What does that mean for me? It means Sarah might be in for a surprise if she's planning a future with him. The rich boyfriend might not be as rich as she thinks. A small petty part of me took satisfaction in that, but mostly I just felt sad. Sad that my marriage had come to this. sad that I was investigating my wife like a criminal, sad that my daughters were going to have their world torn apart. That night, after the girls were asleep, I finally made the call I'd been dreading, to my mother. "Mijo, it's late. Is everything okay? Mama, I need to tell you something. Sarah's having an affair." Silence. Then, "Estás seguro?" "Yes, I'm sure. I have proof. Photos, messages, everything." "Ay, Dios mío. Miguel, I'm so sorry. What are you going to do?" "I'm going to divorce her. I have to. I can't stay married to someone who's been lying to me for 8 months." "And the girls?" "I'm going to fight for primary custody. I'm already their primary parent. I just need to make it official." "You know your father and I will support you, whatever you need." "I know, Mama. Thank you." "When are you going to tell her?" "That you know." "Soon. I need to get all my ducks in a row first. Talk to a lawyer. Figure out my finances. Make a plan." "Always planning, mi amor. Just like your father. But Michael, don't forget to feel. Don't lock your heart away so tight that you can't heal." "I can't afford to feel right now. If I start feeling, I'll fall apart, and I can't fall apart. Not with Lily and Emma depending on me. Those girls are lucky to have you as their father." After we hung up, I sat in the darkness of my office and let myself feel for just a moment. Let myself acknowledge the grief and rage and betrayal churning in my chest. Let myself mourn the marriage I thought I had, the wife I thought I knew, the future I'd envisioned. Then I locked it all away again and went back to planning. I hired a divorce attorney the next day. Rita Chen, yes, another Chen, Chicago's Chinese-American community was surprisingly interconnected, was known as the best in the city for complex divorces involving significant assets and custody disputes. She was in her early 50s, sharp as a knife with a reputation for being ruthless in court, while maintaining perfect professional courtesy. I'd heard Sarah mention her before, ironically enough, always in the context of, "Thank God we'll never need a divorce lawyer." Rita reviewed my evidence over 2 hours in her downtown office. She looked at the surveillance photos, the text messages, the financial records, the custody logs. "This is extensive," she said finally. "You've done good work here. The affair is well documented. The financial patterns show clear primary caregiving by you, and the evidence suggests your wife has been prioritizing her career and relationship with Morrison over her family responsibilities. What does that mean for custody?" Illinois law presumes joint custody is in the best interest of the child, unless there's evidence otherwise. Your evidence doesn't show abuse or neglect. Your wife isn't a bad mother, she's just an absent one. But that's enough to argue for a custodial arrangement that reflects reality rather than equality. "I want primary custody. I want them with me during the week, school nights, their routine. Sarah can have weekends or whatever works, but I want to be their primary parent officially." Rita nodded. "That's reasonable given your evidence. We'll push for that. Now let's talk assets." We spent another hour going through finances. The townhouse was technically a gift from Sarah's parents to both of us, complicated from a property division standpoint. We had joint savings, joint investments, 2 401ks, college funds for the girls. On paper, we were worth close to $2 million. Illinois is an equitable distribution state, not a community property state, Rita explained. The court will divide assets fairly, not necessarily equally. Your primary caregiver status, combined with Sarah's affair and her higher income, works in your favor. We can argue you should retain the house so the children's lives are minimally disrupted. What about spousal support? Sarah makes significantly more than you, about double. From what you retry H, write the continuation, Sarah makes significantly more than you, about double, from what you've shown me. In theory, you could be entitled to maintenance, but given that you both work and have relatively high incomes, a court might not award it. However, we can use the possibility of maintenance as a negotiating tool. I don't want her money. I just want my kids and to be left alone. Rita gave me a knowing look. I understand the sentiment, Michael, But don't let pride interfere with what's fair. You've sacrificed career advancement to be the primary caregiver. You've earned a share of the marital assets that reflects those sacrifices. This isn't about punishing Sarah or being vindictive. It's about ensuring you and your daughters are financially secure. She was right, of course, but accepting money from Sarah felt like accepting payment for being humiliated. Think about it, Rita said. In the meantime, I'll prepare the divorce filing. When do you want to serve her? I don't know. Soon. I can't keep pretending much longer. I'd recommend doing it at her office during work hours, public but professional. It sends a message that you're serious and it prevents an emotional scene at home in front of the children. What about telling the girls? Rita's expression softened. That's the hardest part. I'd recommend waiting until after she's been served, then telling them together if possible. Keep it simple, age appropriate. Emphasize that both parents love them and this isn't their fault. Consider getting them into therapy immediately. Children's therapists who specialize in divorce can help them process what's happening. I left Rita's office with a plan and a timeline. Sarah would be served the following Wednesday, exactly 3 weeks after I'd first discovered her affair, and ironically, on the same day of the week she typically met Tyler at the hotel. The timing wasn't an accident. The confrontation. The days leading up to Wednesday crawled by. I moved through my routine like an automaton. Work, kids, dinner, bedtime, pretend everything was normal. Sarah seemed to notice nothing, too caught up in her own world of lies and anticipation of her next hotel rendezvous. On Tuesday night, I packed bags for the girls and myself. Nothing obvious, just enough clothes and essentials for a few days. I'd arranged for us to stay with my mother after I served Sarah. I couldn't bear the thought of being in that house with her after she knew that I knew. I also moved money. Not all of it. That would be illegal. But I opened a new checking account in my name only and transferred half of our joint savings, protecting myself, just in case Sarah tried to drain the accounts when she realized what was happening. Tuesday dinner was surreal. Sarah was in a good mood, chatting with the girls about their upcoming school projects, asking about my work with what seemed like genuine interest. I watched her perform the role of loving mother and devoted wife and marveled at how convincing she was. How long had she been this good at lying? That night, we made love. She initiated, which was rare, and I went along with it because saying no would have raised questions. But the whole time, I felt detached from my body, watching from somewhere above as this woman who'd betrayed me touched me with hands that had touched Tyler Morrison just hours earlier. When it was over, she curled against me and whispered, "I love you, Michael. I know I don't say it enough, but I do." I held her and said nothing. What was there to say? That her love was a lie? That she was going to be served with divorce papers in less than 12 hours? That I knew everything? I waited until she fell asleep, then carefully extracted myself and went to the bathroom. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the man staring back. His eyes were hollow. His face was drawn. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in 3 weeks. This is what betrayal does, I thought. It hollows you out. Wednesday morning arrived too quickly and too slowly. Sarah got up first, as usual, and went through her morning routine. Shower, makeup, the good perfume again. She put on a red dress I'd never seen. Another new outfit for Tyler, I assumed. "I'm having lunch with a client today," she said over coffee. "Might run long, so don't wait for me for dinner." A client? Another lie. She didn't even bother to use the mother excuse anymore. No problem. Girls and I will manage. She kissed me goodbye, told me she loved me, and walked out the door to her car. I watched her pull out of the driveway and wondered if she felt even the slightest guilt about what she was doing. I called Rita at 9 a.m. "We're on for today?" "Process server is standing by. As soon as you give me the word, he'll head to her office. Are you sure you're ready?" "I'm sure." "Okay. He'll serve her around 11 a.m. Where will you be?" "At work. Then I'm picking up my girls early from school. Told them we're having a special afternoon with Grandma. We won't be at the house when Sarah gets there." "Good. That's smart. Let her process this alone initially." Do not, under any circumstances, answer her calls or texts until you've spoken with me. Anything you say to her can be used in court. Understood? Understood. At 11:03 a.m., my phone rang. Rita. It's done. She's been served. Apparently, she was in a meeting when the process server arrived. Walked right into the conference room and handed her the papers in front of several colleagues. I felt a sharp stab of satisfaction. Sarah had been so careful to keep her affairs secret, to maintain her professional reputation. Now everyone at her office knew her marriage was ending. How did she react? According to our server, she went white as a sheet, started to cry, asked him if this was a joke. He told her it was very real and left. Okay, what now? Now you wait. She'll call, probably within minutes. Don't answer. Let her stew. Let her panic. Then, when you're ready, and only when you're ready, we'll arrange a meeting to discuss terms. On your timeline, not hers. I picked up Lily and Emma at 1 p.m., signing them out early with a vague excuse about a family obligation. They were excited about the unexpected outing, chattering in the back seat about what Grandma might have planned. Is Mommy meeting us there? Lily asked. Not today, sweetie. Mommy has to work. It's just us. Mommy always has to work, Emma said matter-of-factly, and my heart broke a little. My mother was waiting at her house in Pilsen, the same small bungalow where I'd grown up. She'd prepared all the girls' favorite foods and set up movies and crafts. She hugged me tight when we arrived. ¿Cómo estás, mijo? She whispered in my ear. Surviving, I whispered back. My phone started ringing at 2:47 p.m. Sarah. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again and again and again. The texts started coming rapid fire. Sarah. Michael, what the fuck? Divorce papers? Are you kidding me right now? Sarah. We need to talk. This is insane. Call me immediately. Sarah. How could you do this without even talking to me first? What about the girls? Sarah. I can't believe you're doing this. After everything we've been through. Sarah. Please call me, please. We can work this out. Whatever's wrong, we can fix it. Sarah. Call me now. I showed the texts to my mother. She shook her head. She has no shame. After what she's done, she dares to act like the victim? That's Sarah, always the victim. More texts came throughout the afternoon. Angry, then pleading, then confused, then angry again. By 6 p.m., she'd called 37 times. At 6:23 p.m., a different text arrived. Sarah, I know you know, please. Let me explain. It's not what you think. So she'd figured it out. Probably Tyler had told her to be honest, or maybe she'd simply realized there was no other explanation for the sudden divorce filing. I responded with my first and only text of the day. Michael. My attorney will be in touch regarding custody arrangements and asset division. All communication should go through her. Do not come to my mother's house. Do not attempt to see me or the girls until we've established a formal arrangement. Sarah. You're keeping my daughters from me? That's kidnapping. Michael. I'm keeping our daughters in a stable environment while we navigate this divorce. You'll see them soon, through proper legal channels. Sarah. Michael, please. I love you. I love our family. Whatever you think is happening, you're wrong. Let me explain. I blocked her number. Rita called at 7 p.m. Sarah's attorney just contacted me. She's hired Douglas Brenner. Big name. Very expensive. He wants to set up a meeting to discuss temporary arrangements for the children. Who's Douglas Brenner? Top family law attorney. Charges $800 an hour. Sarah's playing hardball, which means she's scared. Good. Scared people make mistakes. What do? We meet. Tomorrow if possible. But we dictate the terms. Primary physical custody stays with you pending the divorce. Sarah gets supervised visitation until we establish a routine. We're going to paint her as an absent parent who prioritized her career and affair over her children. It's not painting, it's the truth. Even better. That night, I lay in my childhood bedroom. My mother had kept it exactly as it was when I left for college and tried to process everything that had happened. I'd done it. I'd actually filed for divorce. There was no going back now. Lily knocked on the door around 9 p.m. "Daddy, can I come in?" "Of course, sweetheart." She climbed onto the bed next to me, her 9-year-old face serious. "Why are we at Grandma's house on a school night?" "I told you, we're having a special visit." "But why isn't Mommy here? Did you guys have a fight?" Kids always knew. They sensed the tension even when you tried to hide it. "Mommy and I are having some grown-up problems right now, but I want you to know something very important. It has nothing to do with you and Emma. We both love you very much. That will never change." "Are you getting divorced?" The directness of the question shouldn't have surprised me. Lily was sharp, observant. Several of her friends had divorced parents. She knew what it looked like. "We might be. I'm sorry, honey. I know this is scary and confusing." Tears filled her eyes. "I don't want you and Mommy to get divorced. I want us to be a family." I pulled her close. "We'll always be a family, Lily. Families come in different shapes. Mommy and Daddy might not live together anymore, but we'll both still be your parents. We'll both still love you and take care of you. But everything will change. Some things will change, but the important things won't. You'll still go to the same school, live in the same house, have all your same friends, and you'll still have me and Mommy, even if we're not together." She cried quietly against my chest, and I felt like the worst father in the world for not being able to protect her from this pain. But staying in a broken marriage would have hurt her more in the long run. I had to believe that. The negotiation. The meeting with Sarah and her attorney took place 3 days later in a sterile conference room at Douglas Brenner's office. Sarah arrived looking haggard. No makeup, hair pulled back messily, wearing jeans and a sweatshirt instead of her usual polished professional attire. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying. Part of me felt sorry for her, a small part. The rest of me remembered Tyler Morrison and 8 months of lies. Douglas Brenner was exactly what I expected. Silver-haired, expensive suit, the kind of confident arrogance that came from winning high-stakes cases. He shook my hand firmly and gestured for us all to sit. "Let's keep this professional and productive," he began. "We're here to discuss temporary arrangements for the children while the divorce proceedings move forward." Rita leaned forward. "My client is requesting primary physical custody with supervised visitation for Mrs. Rivera until we can establish—" "Absolutely not," Brenner interrupted. "Mrs. Rivera is these children's mother. She has every right to see them without supervision. This is clearly a punitive measure designed to protect the children during a traumatic transition," Rita finished calmly. "Mrs. Rivera has demonstrated a pattern of absence and disengagement from the children's daily lives. My client has documentation spanning months showing that he is the primary caregiver in every meaningful sense. My client has a demanding career, as does Mr. Rivera. That doesn't make her an unfit mother." "I didn't say unfit. I said absent. There's a difference." I watched Sarah during this exchange. She was staring at her hands, tears streaming down her face silently. She looked broken in a way I'd never seen. "Sarah," I said quietly, "everyone stop talking. Look at me." She raised her eyes to mine. "When's Emma's parent-teacher conference scheduled?" She blinked. "What?" "Emma's parent-teacher conference. It was scheduled 3 weeks ago. When is it?" I don't know. You handle that stuff." "What's Lily's favorite book right now?" "Michael, this is ridiculous. Just answer the question. What's Lily's favorite book?" "I don't know, one of those fantasy series? Wings of Fire. She's read the entire series twice. She begs me to take her to the library every week to see if there are new ones. You'd know that if you ever did bedtime stories." Sarah's face crumpled. "That's not fair. I work. I'm building a career. That doesn't mean I don't love our daughters." "I work too, Sarah. We have the same job in the same industry. But I make time. I show up. I know their teachers' names and their friends' parents' phone numbers and what they had for lunch yesterday. Can you say the same?" "You're making me sound like a terrible mother." I'm stating facts. Facts that Rita has documented extensively. Every missed school event. Every morning you left before they woke up. Every evening you came home after they were asleep. Every weekend you chose a work function over family time. This is because of the affair, she said, her voice rising. You're punishing me because I made a mistake, because I was lonely and someone paid attention to me and I... She stopped herself, realizing what she'd just admitted in front of the lawyers. Thank you for that confirmation, Rita said coolly, making a note. Brenner shot Sarah a warning look. My client is understandably emotional. Perhaps we should take a break. No, Sarah said. No, I want to talk to my husband, alone. I don't advise, Brenner began. I don't care. Michael, please. 5 minutes, just you and me. I looked at Rita. She shook her head slightly, a clear warning not to do this. But part of me wanted to hear what Sarah had to say. Wanted to look her in the eye and hear her try to explain 8 months of betrayal. 5 minutes, I agreed. Rita and Brenner left the room reluctantly. Sarah and I sat across the conference table from each other in silence for a long moment. I'm sorry, she finally said. I know that doesn't mean much now, but I am. I'm so sorry, Michael. For the affair? Or for getting caught? For all of it. For hurting you. For hurting our family. For being selfish and stupid and... Her voice broke. For throwing away everything that mattered because I was too blind to see what I had. When did it start? The truth this time. She wiped her eyes. 8 months ago, Tyler and I were working late on a pitch. We'd been drinking. He kissed me and I didn't stop him. I should have, but I didn't. And then you kept not stopping him for 8 months. I know how it sounds. But Michael, I was drowning. I felt invisible in my own life. I'd go to work and people would listen to me, respect me, value my opinion. I'd come home and feel like a failure as a mother because I couldn't balance everything. You made it look so easy. The perfect dad, always there, always engaged. I felt like I could never measure up. So you decided to fuck your boss instead of talking to me about it? She flinched. I'm not making excuses. There's no excuse for what I did. But I need you to understand that it wasn't about not loving you. It was about not loving myself. About feeling like I was failing at everything that mattered. And Tyler made you feel better about yourself? He made me feel seen. He made me feel important. He made me feel like I was more than just a mother and a wife who couldn't get her act together. You are more than that. You're also a liar and a cheat and someone who chose her own selfish needs over her family. I know that now. But at the time, I needed something that was mine. Something separate from you and the kids and all the pressure. Tyler was that escape. An escape that included planning to divorce me and steal from me. Her head snapped up. I never planned to steal from you. That was Tyler's idea. He said we needed to protect assets before... She stopped. Before what? Before you left me with nothing? Before you destroyed our family so you could play house with a man who's actually bankrupt? What? Tyler's broke, Sarah. His company is failing. He's drowning in debt. Whatever future you thought you had with him, it's a fantasy. He was using you just like you were using our marriage as a safety net while you figured out your next move. The color drained from her face. He wouldn't... I have financial records. His company is in serious trouble. The hotel rooms, charged to a corporate account that's maxed out. The gifts he bought you, also on the corporate card. Tyler Morrison isn't the wealthy prince you thought he was. He's a desperate man making desperate choices. Sarah looked like she might be sick. Oh my God, I'm such an idiot. Yes, you are. We sat in silence. Part of me felt vindicated seeing her realize the extent of her mistakes, but mostly I just felt sad. The girls, she finally said, can I please see them? I miss them so much. You can see them, but not yet, Not until we have a formal arrangement in place. Not until you can prove to me that you're going to show up and be present and not just flake out when work or Tyler calls. It's over with Tyler. I ended it the day you served me. I told him I'd made a terrible mistake and I needed to focus on my family. And what did he say? He said he understood, that he hoped we could still work together professionally. She laughed bitterly, professional to the end, like we hadn't been sleeping together for months, like he hadn't talked me into planning to leave my husband. You don't get to blame Tyler for your choices, Sarah. He didn't make you have an affair. He didn't make you lie. Those were your choices. I know. You're right. I don't know how to fix this, Michael. Tell me how to fix this. I looked at my wife, my soon-to-be ex-wife, and felt nothing but exhaustion. You can't fix this. What's broken can't be repaired. We're getting divorced. That's happening. What you can do is be a good mother to Lily and Emma. Show up for them. Be present. Prove that you can prioritize them over your career and your next romantic adventure. I will. I swear I will. I'll do whatever it takes. Then start by agreeing to reasonable custody terms. I keep primary physical custody. You get them every other weekend and one evening per week. We split holidays, and you commit to actually showing up for that time instead of canceling when something better comes along. That seems so little. They're my daughters, too. Then you should have thought about that before you spent 8 months fucking your boss instead of being their mother. The cruelty in my words hung in the air. Sarah started crying again, harder this time, her whole body shaking with sobs. I'm sorry, she gasped. I'm so sorry. I've ruined everything. I've destroyed our family. I've hurt you and the girls, and I can never take it back. I wanted to comfort her. Old habits die hard, but I stayed in my seat. No, you can't. But you can do better going forward, for Lily and Emma's sake, if not for mine. We called the lawyers back in. Sarah agreed to my custody proposal without further argument. Brenner looked frustrated, probably because he'd hoped to drag this out and rack up billable hours. But he had no choice when his client agreed to the terms. We also worked out temporary financial arrangements. Sarah would continue living in the townhouse until we finalized the divorce and decided what to do with it. I would stay at my mother's with the girls. Sarah would pay child support based on her higher income. We'd split the girls' expenses. It was all very civilized and businesslike, as if we were negotiating a corporate merger instead of the dissolution of a 12-year marriage. By the end of the meeting, I felt hollowed out, empty, like I'd used up every emotion I had and there was nothing left. Rita walked me to my car. You did well in there. I know that was hard. She admitted to the affair, on record. Yes, which was stupid of her but helpful for us. Though honestly, we had enough evidence that her admission doesn't change much. It just makes everything cleaner. When will the divorce be final? Minimum 6 months in Illinois. Could be faster if everything stays uncontested. Could be longer if she changes her mind and starts fighting. I just want it over. I want to move on with my life. You will. It takes time, but you will. I drove back to my mother's house and found Lily and Emma playing in the backyard with my father. They looked so happy, so innocent, so completely unaware that their world had just been officially dismantled. How was I going to tell them? Breaking the news. Dr. Elizabeth Torres came highly recommended. She was a child psychologist who specialized in helping families navigate divorce, particularly children between the ages of 6 and 12, right where Lily and Emma fell. I met with her alone first, a week after the custody agreement had been signed. "Tell me about your daughters," she said. Her office was warm and inviting, filled with toys and art supplies and comfortable places to sit. Nothing clinical or intimidating. Lily is 9. She's smart, sensitive, artistic. She reads constantly, loves fantasy novels, wants to be a writer when she grows up. She's also anxious, worries a lot about things being fair, about people being upset with her. And Emma? Emma just turned 7. She's my wild child. Outgoing, fearless, makes friends with everyone. She loves soccer and climbing trees and getting dirty, but she's also more fragile than she lets on. She needs routine and structure or she falls apart. How have they been handling the separation so far? They know something's wrong. Lily asked me directly if we were getting divorced. I told her we might be, but that both their mother and I love them. Emma hasn't asked directly, but she's been clingy, wants me with her constantly, has nightmares. Dr. Torres made notes. And what's the relationship like between the girls and their mother? This was the hard part. Sarah loves them. I know she does. But she's been absent. She works long hours, travels for work, misses important events. I've been the primary parent for years. They're closer to me. How do you think they'll react to the divorce? Lily will blame herself somehow. She'll try to fix it. Emma will act out, tantrums, regression, maybe bedwetting. You know your daughters well. That's good. Here's what I recommend. Tell them together if possible. Keep it simple. Don't give them details about the affair or blame either parent. Emphasize that it's not their fault and that both parents love them. Answer their questions honestly but age appropriately and get them into regular therapy as soon as possible. Should Sarah be there when we tell them? Ideally, yes. It sends a message of unity even in separation. It shows them that even though you're divorcing, you're still their parents and you're still working together for their sake. I called Sarah that night. We need to tell the girls. Dr. Torres says we should do it together. There was a long pause. Okay, when? This weekend, Saturday morning. We'll tell them, then you can spend the day with them. Start establishing your new routine. Thank you, Michael, for letting me be there. I'm not doing it for you, I'm doing it for them. Saturday morning arrived with deceptive sunshine and blue skies. Sarah showed up at my mother's house at 10 a.m. right on time. She looked better than she had at the lawyer's office. Showered, dressed neatly, makeup covering the worst of the damage from crying. We gathered in the living room. Lily and Emma sat on the couch between us, sensing something serious was coming. Girls, I began, my voice steady despite my racing heart. Mom and I need to talk to you about something important. You're getting divorced, Lily said flatly. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Sweetie, I knew it. Everyone at school's parents are divorced. Now it's our turn. Emma looked confused. What's divorced? It means Mommy and Daddy aren't going to be married anymore, I explained gently. We're going to live in different houses. Why? Emma's lower lip trembled. Did we do something bad? No, baby, no. Sarah pulled Emma into her lap. This has nothing to do with you, nothing at all. Daddy and I love you so much. We'll always love you. We can't be married to each other anymore. But why? Lily demanded. What happened? You were fine, and then suddenly everything changed. I exchanged a glance with Sarah. How much to tell them? Sometimes grown-ups change, I said carefully. Sometimes people who love each other realize they can't be married anymore. It doesn't mean we don't love you. It just means our family is going to look different. Where are we going to live? Lily asked. You'll live with me most of the time, in our house. Mom will get her own place, and you'll spend weekends with her and some evenings. I don't want to go back and forth. I don't want two houses. I want everything to stay the same. Lily's voice was rising, panic creeping in. I know, honey. Change is scary, but I promise you we're going to make this work. You'll still go to the same school, have the same friends, do all the same activities. What about Christmas? Emma asked. Will we have 2 Christmases? Yes, Sarah said. You'll celebrate with Daddy one day and with me another day, twice the presents. It was the wrong thing to say. Lily glared at her mother. This is your fault. Daddy would never leave us. You're the one who's always gone. You're the one who doesn't care. Lily, I started. It's true, she's never home. She misses everything. She doesn't even know what books I like or who my friends are. She doesn't care about us. Sarah was crying now. That's not true. I love you so much, Lily. I know I haven't been around as much as I should have. I know I've made mistakes. But I love you. I'm going to do better, I promise. You always promise, you never do it. The truth of a 9-year-old cutting deeper than any adult accusation could. Emma started crying too, overwhelmed by the emotion in the room. I pulled her from Sarah's lap into mine. "It's okay, baby. Everything's going to be okay." "I don't want you and Mommy to be divorced," Emma wailed. "I want us to be a family." "We are still a family," I said firmly. "We're just going to be a different kind of family. But Mommy and I will always be your parents. We'll always take care of you. That will never change." We spent the next hour answering questions, comforting tears, trying to provide reassurance in the face of their fear and confusion. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. Harder than discovering the affair, harder than filing for divorce, harder than any of it. Finally, Dr. Torres's advice proved wise. We gave them simple, clear information. We didn't blame each other, at least not explicitly. We emphasized our love for them, and we answered every question as honestly as we could. By noon, the girls were emotionally exhausted. Sarah took them to the park, giving them the one-on-one attention she'd been promising. I watched them leave, Lily walking ahead, stiff and angry, Emma holding Sarah's hand but looking back at me anxiously, and felt the weight of what we'd done to them. My mother found me on the back porch an hour later. "¿Cómo te sientes, mijo?" Like I just broke my daughter's hearts. "You didn't break them. Sarah's choices broke them. You're just helping them understand what happened." They blame her, Lily especially. She was so angry. "Lily is smart. She sees what's true. Sarah has been absent. That's not your fault." But I don't want them to hate their mother. They need her, even if she hasn't been perfect. They don't hate her. They're hurt and confused. Give them time, and give Sarah time to prove she's changed. What if she hasn't? What if this is just temporary and in a few months she's back to working 80 hours a week and canceling on them? Then she'll face the consequences, and you'll be there to pick up the pieces like you've always been. We sat in silence for a while, watching the autumn leaves fall from the trees in her backyard. "You know what breaks my heart?" I said finally. Emma asked if we'd still be a family, and I had to tell her yes, but different. What kind of answer is that for a 7-year-old? How do you explain to a child that everything she knows is changing, but also somehow staying the same? You can't, not really. You just love her through it. That's all any of us can do. Sarah brought the girls back at 5 p.m. They seemed calmer, though Lily was still standoffish with her mother. We'd agreed that Sarah would say goodbye and leave, starting slowly, not trying to do too much too fast. "I'll see you next weekend," Sarah told the girls, kneeling down to their level. "And I'll call you every night before bed if you want." "Okay," Emma said quietly. Lily just nodded. Sarah looked at me. "Thank you. For today. For everything." I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. After she left, I made the girls their favorite dinner, spaghetti and meatballs with garlic bread. We ate quietly, the usual dinner-time chatter subdued. Then we watched a movie together, curled up on the couch with my arms around both of them. At bedtime, Lily hugged me tighter than usual. "Daddy, are you going to leave too?" My heart shattered. "No, baby. Never. I'm not going anywhere. I promise." Everyone leaves eventually. "Not me. I'm your dad. That's forever." She held on for a long moment, then finally let go and climbed into bed. I read her 3 chapters of her current fantasy novel, even though it was past her bedtime. Tonight, routine could wait. In Emma's room, my youngest was already in her pajamas, clutching her favorite stuffed elephant. "Daddy, can I sleep in your room tonight?" "Of course, baby. Go grab your pillow." That night, I lay between my 2 daughters in my childhood bedroom at my mother's house, Lily on my left, Emma on my right, both of them finally asleep after the emotional exhaustion of the day. I stared at the ceiling and wondered how we'd gotten here. And I wondered if Sarah, alone in our townhouse with no one to tuck into bed, was asking herself the same question. The adjustment. The next 3 months were a blur of lawyers' meetings, custody exchanges, therapy sessions, and trying to establish a new normal for my daughters. We settled into a routine. Lily and Emma stayed with me during the week, went to Sarah every other weekend, and Wednesday evenings for dinner. Sarah tried. I'll give her that. She showed up for every scheduled visit, called the girls every night like she'd promised, even made it to a few school events. But old habits died hard. She still checked her work email obsessively during her parenting time. She still took calls from her office. She still prioritized meetings over the girls when conflicts arose. Lily noticed. She's not really there even when she's there, my 9-year-old observed with devastating accuracy after one weekend visit. Emma was more forgiving, desperate to believe that Mommy had changed, but even she started to show cracks. She'd come back from Sarah's house clingy and anxious, asking repeatedly if I was sure I wasn't leaving. "You're not going away like Mommy, right? You're staying?" "I'm staying, baby, I promise." The divorce proceedings moved forward slowly. Rita filed all the necessary paperwork, and we waited for court dates to be assigned. Sarah didn't contest anything, the custody arrangement, the asset division, nothing. Her lawyer tried to negotiate a few minor points, but overall she seemed to have accepted that this was happening. I threw myself into being the best single father I could be. I meal prepped on Sundays so we'd have healthy dinners all retry H continue week. I kept elaborate calendars to track school events, soccer practices, and dance classes. I joined the PTA and volunteered for field trips. I helped with homework every night and read bedtime stories without fail. I was exhausted, constantly, bone-deep exhausted. But I didn't have a choice. The girls needed stability, and I was their stability. Work suffered. I couldn't stay late or travel or take on the high-profile projects I used to pursue. My boss, Jennifer, was understanding to a point, but I could feel opportunities passing me by. Younger, less encumbered colleagues were getting the promotions, the big accounts, the recognition I'd once earned. "Michael, you're doing great work," Jennifer said during my performance review. "But I need to know, are you committed to your career here? Because it seems like you've checked out." "I haven't checked out. I'm going through a divorce. I have 2 young daughters who need me." "I understand that. I do. But this is a demanding industry. We need people who can give 110. If you can't do that right now, maybe you should consider..." "Consider what? Quitting? Finding a less demanding job? Abandoning my career because my wife cheated on me and blew up our family?" Jennifer's expression softened. "I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you need to think about what you want, because you can't have it all, Michael. Not right now." She was right. I couldn't have it all. So I chose my daughters over my career, the same way I'd been choosing for years. But this time, it stung more. This time, I wasn't making the choice for our family. I was making it because Sarah had destroyed our family and left me to pick up the pieces alone. I started resenting her more than I thought possible, not just for the affair, but for the aftermath, for the fact that she got to maintain her career while I sacrificed mine, for the fact that she saw the girls every other weekend while I dealt with homework meltdowns and middle-of-the-night nightmares every single night, for the fact that she'd made her choices and I was living with the consequences. In early December, Tyler Morrison's company filed for bankruptcy. The news hit the business section of the Chicago Tribune, and within hours my phone was blowing up with messages from colleagues who knew my connection to the story. Sarah called me that evening, something she rarely did outside of logistics about the girls. "Did you see the news about Tyler?" "I saw it. His company went under. He's lost everything. He called me today. He's devastated. And you're calling me because..." "I don't know. I needed to talk to someone who would understand." "Understand what? That the man you left your family for turns out to be a fraud? That the escape you were planning isn't happening?" "I understand perfectly, Sarah. What I don't understand is why you think I'd be sympathetic." "I don't expect sympathy. I feel so stupid. I threw away everything for someone who wasn't even real, for a fantasy. That's what affairs are, Sarah. Fantasies. They exist outside of real life, outside of dirty dishes and parent-teacher conferences and kids with the stomach flu. You fell in love with an idea, not a person. And now you're discovering what I already knew, that real life is messy and hard, and Tyler Morrison was never going to be your savior. I know that now. I'm trying to move forward. I'm trying to be better. Then be better. Show up for your daughters. Stop checking your email during your parenting time. Stop canceling visits when work gets busy. Actually do the things you keep promising you'll do. She was quiet for a moment. Lily hates me. Lily doesn't hate you. She's angry with you. There's a difference. She barely talks to me when I see her. Emma at least tries, but Lily, she looks at me like I'm a stranger. You have to earn her trust back. That takes time and consistent action. You can't just apologize and expect everything to be fine. How do I earn it back when she won't even give me a chance? You keep showing up. You keep trying. You prove through your actions that you've changed. There's no shortcut, Sarah. You created this situation. You have to live with it. After I hung up, I felt a twinge of guilt. Sarah was clearly struggling and I'd been harsh. But then I thought about Lily crying in her room because her mother had canceled another visit due to a work emergency. I thought about Emma's nightmares about her family disappearing. I thought about the 8 months of lies and the planned betrayal. My guilt evaporated. The holidays were approaching, and we had to figure out how to navigate them. Our custody agreement specified that we'd alternate major holidays. Sarah would get Thanksgiving this year, I'd get Christmas. Next year, we'd switch, but neither of the girls wanted to spend Thanksgiving with Sarah. "Can't we just stay with you, Daddy?" Emma pleaded. "We can see Mommy another day." "The agreement says you spend Thanksgiving with Mommy this year." "But we don't want to," Lily said. "She's just going to be on her phone the whole time anyway. She won't even care if we're there." "That's not fair, Lily. Your mother loves you." "Then why did she choose her work and Tyler over us?" 9 years old and already understanding adult failures with painful clarity. I called Rita. "The girls don't want to do Thanksgiving with Sarah. Can we modify the agreement?" "Not without Sarah's consent or a court order. If the girls refuse to go, you could be in violation of the custody agreement. Sarah could claim you're alienating them from her." "I'm not alienating them. They're making their own choice based on her behavior." "The court won't see it that way. You need to encourage the relationship even if you think Sarah doesn't deserve it." So I spent the week before Thanksgiving coaching my daughters on giving their mother a chance, explaining that people make mistakes but deserve opportunities to do better, reminding them that Sarah loved them even if she didn't always show it in the way they wanted. It was exhausting, playing therapist and mediator and promoter for a woman who destroyed our family. Thanksgiving morning, Sarah picked up the girls at 9 a.m. I'd packed their overnight bags, included their favorite snacks and comfort items, and given them both pep talks about having open minds. "We'll be okay, Daddy," Emma said, trying to be brave. Lily said nothing, her face set in stubborn resistance. I watched them drive away with Sarah and tried not to feel like I was sending them into enemy territory. They came back Friday afternoon, and I knew immediately something had gone wrong. Lily stormed into the house and went straight to her room, slamming the door. Emma's eyes were red from crying. "What happened?" I asked Sarah, who'd walked them to the door. "Her mother happened," Sarah said bitterly. "Margaret hosted Thanksgiving. She made several pointed comments about how some women don't know how to prioritize family. She told the girls that divorce was always the mother's fault because mothers are the heart of the home. Sarah's voice broke. She told them I was a bad mother and they were better off with you." Jesus Christ! I tried to defend myself, but Margaret just kept going. My own mother, Michael, undermining me in front of our daughters. Lily started agreeing with her. Emma just cried. It was a nightmare. For the first time since the divorce started, I felt genuine sympathy for Sarah. Margaret Chen was a formidable woman with strong opinions and little filter. If she'd decided Sarah was at fault and needed to hear about it, she wouldn't hold back. "I'll talk to Margaret." "What good will that do? She's right, isn't she? I am a bad mother. Everyone thinks so." "You're not a bad mother. You're an imperfect mother who made serious mistakes. There's a difference." "I don't know how to fix this, Michael. I don't know how to make them trust me again. I don't know how to make Margaret stop hating me. I don't know how to—" She broke down crying on my doorstep. I stood there awkwardly, unsure what to do. Comforting Sarah felt wrong after everything, but leaving her crying felt cruel. "You need to set boundaries with your mother," I said finally, "and you need to keep showing up for Lily and Emma consistently, without excuses. That's the only way forward." She nodded, wiping her eyes. I'm sorry for all of this. I know you didn't ask to be put in this position." "No, I didn't." After Sarah left, I went to check on Lily. She was lying on her bed, staring at the ceiling. "You want to talk about what happened at Grandma Margaret's?" She told us the truth, that Mommy ruined everything because she cared more about work and her boyfriend than about us. I sat on the edge of her bed. Grandma Margaret shouldn't have said those things. It's not appropriate for adults to put their issues on children. But it's true, isn't it? Mommy did choose her job and Tyler over us. It's more complicated than that, sweetheart. No, it's not. She chose wrong. She always chooses wrong. I didn't know how to argue with that, because from Lily's 9-year-old perspective, it was exactly that simple. Sarah had made choices, and those choices had hurt her family. "People are complicated," I said finally. "Your mother loves you. She's just not always good at showing it in the ways you need, but that doesn't mean she doesn't love you. If she loved us, she'd be here. She'd show up. She'd care. She's trying, Lily. It's hard for her too. Why are you defending her? She hurt you most of all." That stopped me. Why was I defending Sarah? After everything she'd done, why was I making excuses for her to our daughter? "Because she's your mother," I said finally. "And no matter what happens between your mother and me, I want you to have a relationship with her. I don't want you to carry anger and resentment your whole life. That will hurt you more than it hurts her. I can't just forgive her. I'm not asking you to forgive her. I'm asking you to stay open to the possibility that she can change. Can you do that?" Lily was quiet for a long moment. "I guess." It wasn't much, but it was something. I called Margaret Chen the next day. "Margaret, we need to talk about what happened at Thanksgiving." "I only spoke the truth, Michael." "You spoke your truth. To children who are already confused and hurting. That wasn't fair to them or to Sarah." "Sarah made her choices. She needs to face the consequences." "She is facing the consequences. But Lily and Emma shouldn't be weaponized in your disappointment with your daughter. They need both their parents. If you can't support that, then maybe they shouldn't spend time at your house." There was a sharp intake of breath. "Are you threatening to keep my granddaughters from me?" "I'm asking you to think about what's best for them. They love you. They love Sarah. Forcing them to choose between you isn't healthy. I would never make them choose." "But that's exactly what you did at Thanksgiving. You made them feel like loving their mother was wrong, like they had to agree with your assessment of her failures. That's not fair." Another long silence. Then, grudgingly, "Perhaps I was too harsh. Perhaps. Fine, I was too harsh. I'll apologize to the girls and to Sarah. Thank you. But Michael, Sarah did destroy this family. She made terrible choices. I can't pretend otherwise." "I'm not asking you to pretend. I'm asking you to remember that she's still your daughter, and Lily and Emma are still her daughters. They need to be able to love all of you without feeling guilty about it." After we hung up, I felt drained. When had I become the mediator for everyone else's dysfunction? When had it become my job to manage Sarah's relationship with her mother and my daughter's relationship with Sarah? I wanted to be angry. I wanted to rage against the unfairness of it all. But I was too tired. Tired of being strong. Tired of holding everything together. Tired of being the responsible one while everyone else fell apart. That night, after the girls were asleep, I poured myself a bourbon and sat on the back porch despite the December cold. I thought about my life, about how drastically it had changed in just 3 months, about how I'd gone from married father of 2 to single parent navigating custody agreements and therapy appointments and ex-wife drama. And I thought about what Jennifer had said, that I couldn't have it all, that I needed to figure out what I wanted. What did I want? I wanted my daughters to be happy and healthy. That was non-negotiable. But beyond that, I didn't know anymore. My career aspirations felt hollow. My dreams of a happy family had been shattered. My trust in relationships had been destroyed. I wanted to feel whole again. That's what I wanted. To feel like Michael Rivera, not just Lily and Emma's dad or Sarah's ex-husband. To feel like a complete person with hopes and dreams and a future that didn't revolve entirely around managing the fallout from someone else's choices. But I had no idea how to get there. Unexpected support. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday in late January. 12 years of marriage ended with a judge's signature and a few procedural questions. Sarah and I stood on opposite sides of the courtroom, civil, polite, empty. "That's it," Rita said afterward. "You're officially divorced." I felt nothing. No relief, no sadness, no anger, just numbness. What happens now? Now you move forward. The custody arrangement is formalized. Asset division is complete. You're free to start your new life. Free. What a strange word for how I felt. I drove back to work. I'd taken only the morning off for court and tried to focus on spreadsheets and marketing campaigns, but my mind kept drifting. Divorced. I was divorced. At 38 years old, I was a divorced single father starting over. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Unknown. "Hey, it's Jason Brenner, Doug's nephew. I heard about your divorce. I'm really sorry, man. Jason Brenner." I remembered him vaguely from Sarah's lawyer's office, a younger guy, maybe early 30s, who'd been shadowing Douglas Brenner during one of our meetings. I'd assumed he was a junior associate. "Michael, thanks. How did you get my number?" Jason called in a favor. "Look, I know this is weird, but would you want to grab a beer sometime? I'm going through a divorce too. Thought maybe we could commiserate." I stared at the message. A stranger inviting me for drinks. It should have felt intrusive. Instead, it felt like a lifeline. "Michael, sure. When?" Jason, "Tonight? There's a place in West Loop called Murphy's. 7 p.m.? Michael, "I'll be there." I arranged for my mother to watch the girls, telling her I had a work thing. She gave me a knowing look, but didn't push. Murphy's was a dive bar, dark wood, old neon signs, the smell of beer and fried food. Jason was already there, sitting at the bar nursing a beer. He waved when he saw me. "Michael, thanks for coming." He shook my hand. Up close, I could see the exhaustion in his eyes that probably mirrored my own. "What are you drinking?" "Whatever's on tap." We got our beers and found a booth in the back. For a few minutes, we drank in silence, two strangers bonded by shared misery. "So," Jason finally said, "your wife cheated with her boss?" "Yeah, 8 months. How'd you know?" Uncle Doug mentioned it. Said it was one of the more clear-cut cases he'd seen. "Usually there's ambiguity," he said, she said. "But with you guys, the evidence was overwhelming." "Your uncle represented my wife. Shouldn't you not be talking to me?" Jason laughed bitterly. "Uncle Doug represents a lot of people I shouldn't talk to, but I'm not a lawyer anymore. I quit the firm 2 months ago. Couldn't stomach the work after my own divorce." "What happened with yours?" "My wife decided she was a lesbian. Came out, asked for a divorce, moved in with her girlfriend within a week. Totally blindsided me." "Jesus, that's shitty, yeah. But also, in retrospect, there were signs. We hadn't had sex in over a year. She flinched when I touched her. She was always too tired or not in the mood. I just thought it was marriage. Thought everyone felt like roommates after a few years. How long were you married? 6 years. No kids, thank God. That's the one thing that makes it easier. I don't have to co-parent with someone who broke my heart. I thought about Lily and Emma, about the constant custody exchanges and difficult conversations. Kids make it complicated, but they also make it necessary. I can't just wallow. I have to keep functioning for them. That must be hard. It is. But it's also, I don't know, grounding? Like, my world fell apart, but I can't fall apart because they need me. So I keep going. You're stronger than I am. I fell apart completely. Stopped going to work, stayed in bed for 2 weeks. My Uncle Doug basically had to drag me out of my apartment and tell me to get my shit together. And did you? Get your shit together. Working on it, I'm in therapy, started running again. Quit law because I realized I only became a lawyer to please my family. Now I'm trying to figure out what I actually want to do with my life. He took a long drink. It's terrifying and liberating at the same time. We talked for 2 hours about our marriages, our divorces, our ex-spouses, about the betrayal and the aftermath and the slow, painful process of rebuilding. Jason was funny and self-deprecating and honest in a way I wasn't used to men being. You know what nobody tells you about divorce? He said as we ordered our 3rd beers. It's not just losing your spouse, it's losing your identity. I was Jason, the married lawyer. Now I'm just Jason, the divorce guy who quit his job. I don't know who that person is. I feel the same way. I was Michael, the husband and father with the perfect life. Now I'm Michael, the single dad whose wife cheated on him. It's like I'm wearing someone else's life. How do we figure out who we actually are? I have no fucking idea. We both laughed. The dark humor of men who'd lost their moorings and were trying to find their way. By the end of the night, we'd exchanged numbers and made plans to meet again. It wasn't exactly friendship, more like mutual support between fellow survivors, but it was something. Someone who understood without judgment. Over the next few weeks, Jason and I fell into a routine. Every Tuesday night, we'd meet at Murphy's and talk about our weeks, our struggles, our small victories. He told me about his attempts at dating disasters and his search for a new career ongoing. I told him about Lily's continued resistance to Sarah and Emma's nightmares. "Have you thought about dating?" he asked one night. "God, no. I can barely manage my current life. Adding dating to the mix sounds like a nightmare." Fair. But at some point, you're going to want companionship again. Adult conversation that doesn't revolve around custody schedules. Maybe, eventually. But right now, I'm just trying to survive. Jason introduced me to his divorce support group. 3 other guys going through splits, all meeting weekly at Murphy's. There was Marcus, whose wife had left him for a woman 20 years younger. David, whose wife had developed a gambling addiction and bankrupted them. And Tom, whose wife had simply announced one day that she wasn't happy and wanted out. We were a motley crew of broken men, drinking beer and sharing war stories and trying to convince ourselves we'd be okay eventually. "My therapist says I need to forgive her," Marcus said one night. Says holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. "Your therapist is full of shit," David said. "My ex stole $200,000 from our retirement accounts. I'm not forgiving that." "I don't think forgiveness means pretending it didn't happen," I offered. "I think it means letting go of the hope that the past could have been different, accepting what is instead of torturing yourself with what should have been." "Deep, Rivera," Tom said. "You moonlighting as a therapist?" Just repeating what mine told me. The group became a lifeline. Every Tuesday I had somewhere to go where I didn't have to be strong or put together or the perfect father. I could be messy and angry and sad. I could admit that I was struggling. I could be human. One Tuesday in early March, I showed up at Murphy's to find a woman sitting with the guys. She was maybe 35 with dark curly hair and warm brown eyes, dressed casually in jeans and a sweater. "Michael, this is Rachel," Jason said. "She's a friend of mine from college. Going through a divorce, too. Thought she might want to join our little therapy session." "Hope that's okay," Rachel said, extending her hand. Jason promised me beer and commiseration, both of which I desperately need. Of course it's okay. Welcome to the island of broken toys. Rachel laughed. Is that what we're calling ourselves? We haven't formally named the group, Tom said, but that's pretty accurate. Rachel fit in seamlessly. She was funny and sharp and didn't pull punches about her own situation. My husband was textbook narcissist, she said. Charming to everyone else, cruel to me in private. I spent 5 years thinking I was crazy before I finally realized he was gaslighting me. Left him 6 months ago and haven't looked back. How are you so well-adjusted about it? Marcus asked. Who says I'm well-adjusted? I'm in therapy 3 times a week. I have anxiety attacks at random moments. I can't sleep without medication, but I'm also free, and that's worth everything. Over the following weeks, Rachel became part of our group, and I found myself looking forward to Tuesdays, not just for the support, but for the chance to talk to her. She was easy to be around, no games, no pretense, just honest conversation. One night, as the group was breaking up, Rachel lingered. Want to grab coffee sometime? She asked. Like, not at Murphy's, somewhere with actual daylight. Are you asking me on a date? She laughed. No, God, no, I'm not ready for dating and I'm guessing you're not either. But I like talking to you. And sometimes it's nice to have a conversation that doesn't include 4 other people. Coffee sounds good. As friends. Exactly, as friends. We met for coffee on a Saturday afternoon while the girls were with Sarah. Rachel told me about her job as a graphic designer, her love of hiking, her attempts to rebuild her life post-divorce. The hardest part is trusting my judgment again, she said. I was so wrong about my ex. How do I know I won't be wrong about the next person? I think about that too. I completely missed that Sarah was having an affair for 8 months. What does that say about my ability to read people? Maybe it says you trusted someone you loved. That's not a character flaw. Feels like one. I get it. But think about it this way. Would you rather be the person who trusts too much or too little? Would you rather risk being hurt again or close yourself off completely? I don't know. Both options sound terrible. She smiled. Welcome to life after divorce, where all the options are terrible and you just have to pick the least terrible one. We talked for 3 hours, and when we finally parted ways, I felt lighter than I had in months. Rachel was right. I wasn't ready to date, but having a friend who understood what I was going through, who didn't judge or offer empty platitudes, was invaluable. That night, as I tucked the girls into bed, Emma asked, Daddy, are you happy? The question surprised me. Why do you ask, baby? You smile more now. When you pick us up from Mommy's, you seem happy. I thought about it. Was I happy? Not happy the way I'd been before. That innocent, unexamined happiness of thinking my life was secure, but maybe a different kind of happy. The hard-earned happiness of survival. I'm getting there, I told her. Some days are hard, but I have you and Lily, and that makes me happy. Good, I want you to be happy. After she fell asleep, I sat on the edge of her bed and thought about Rachel's question. Trust too much or too little? Risk being hurt or close myself off? I didn't have the answer yet, but for the first time since discovering Sarah's affair, I felt like maybe eventually I'd figure it out. Moving forward spring arrived with unexpected warmth. The divorce was 4 months behind me, the wound still fresh but scabbing over. Lily and Emma were adjusting to the new routine, though Lily remained guarded with Sarah. Emma had stopped having nightmares, which felt like a major victory. Sarah, to her credit, had been consistent with her visitation. She showed up on time, called when she said she would, and had even made it to a few school events. It wasn't perfect. She still checked her phone too much, still seemed distracted, but it was improvement. Then, in mid-April, Sarah asked to meet with me, alone, to discuss something important. We met at a coffee shop halfway between our places, neutral territory. Sarah looked nervous, fidgeting with her cup. Thanks for meeting me, she said. What did you want to talk about? I'm leaving the marketing firm. I gave my notice last week. I stared at her. What? Why? Because I can't keep working there after everything that happened with Tyler. Because everyone knows and it's awkward and uncomfortable. Because I need a fresh start, too. She took a breath. I'm starting my own consulting business, working from home, setting my own hours. It means less money, at least initially, but it also means more flexibility, more time with the girls. Is this real, or is this another promise you're going to break? It's real. I've already signed the lease on office space, a small studio in Lincoln Park. I've lined up 3 clients. I'm doing this, Michael. Why now? Why not 8 months ago when your affair was destroying our marriage? Why not a year ago when Lily was begging you to come to her school play? Sarah's eyes filled with tears, because I was too proud, too stubborn, too convinced that my career defined me, and if I wasn't climbing the ladder, I was failing. Losing you, losing the girls' trust. It took all that to make me see what actually matters. That's convenient timing. I know it looks that way. I know you don't trust me, I don't blame you, but I'm not doing this to win you back or to make myself look good. I'm doing it because I looked at my life and realized I was on a path to losing my daughters completely. And I won't let that happen. I studied her face, looking for signs of deception, but all I saw was exhaustion and determination. What about Tyler? We don't speak. I haven't talked to him since the day you served me. He's not part of my life anymore. And when the next Tyler comes along, the next distraction from real life, there won't be a next Tyler. I'm in therapy, Michael. Real therapy, twice a week. I'm working through why I made the choices I made, why I valued external validation over the family I had at home. It's not fun work, but I'm doing it. I wanted to believe her. God, part of me desperately wanted to believe that Sarah had changed, that she'd learned, that our daughters would finally have the mother they deserved. But I'd believed her before. When she promised to work less, when she promised to be more present, when she promised, on our wedding day, to be honest with me always. I hope you mean it, I said finally, for Lily and Emma's sake. They deserve a mother who shows up. I know, and I'm going to be that mother. Starting now. Over the following weeks, Sarah did seem different. She started picking up the girls from school on her Wednesday evenings, instead of meeting them at a restaurant. She invited them to her new office space and showed them around, making them feel included in her new venture. She even made it to 2 of Lily's soccer games without checking her phone once. Lily remained skeptical. She's just doing this because you made her, she told me. Does it matter why she's doing it if she's actually showing up? I guess not, but I still don't trust her. You don't have to trust her right away. Trust is earned. Just give her a chance to earn it. Emma was more forgiving. She was so hungry for her mother's attention that she'd take whatever she could get. Watching Emma light up when Sarah praised her drawing or asked about her day broke my heart. This was what my daughter had been missing all along, a mother who was present, who cared, who saw her. I tried not to be bitter about the timing, tried not to think about how different things might have been if Sarah had made these changes a year ago. But the bitterness was there, festering beneath my attempts at civility. At work, things were shifting too. Jennifer had been true to her word. My career had stalled. But in late May, I got an unexpected call from a former colleague, Amanda Torres, who'd left our firm 2 years earlier to start her own boutique marketing agency. Michael, I've been following your work from afar, she said. I know you've been going through some personal stuff, but I wanted to reach out. I'm expanding my agency, and I need someone to head up the creative division, flexible hours, remote work options, and honestly, a better work-life balance than what you've got now. Interested? Very interested. We met for lunch the next day. Amanda's agency was smaller than my current firm, but it was growing fast and had an impressive client roster. More importantly, she understood about family obligations. I'm a single mom too, she said. I built this agency specifically so I could have a career without sacrificing time with my daughter. That's the culture I'm creating here. Results matter, not FaceTime. If you can do great work and still make it to your kids' soccer games, that's what I want." That sounds too good to be true. It's not easy. You still have to hustle. But I believe you can have both, a successful career and a present parenting life. You just have to prioritize differently. She offered me the job at the end of lunch, 20% raise, equity stake in the company, and the flexibility I desperately needed. I accepted on the spot. "Thank you," I said. "You have no idea how much this means." "I think I do. Welcome to the team, Michael." I gave my notice at my current firm the next day. Jennifer was disappointed but not surprised. "I knew we were losing you," she said. "You've been checked out for months." I wasn't checked out. I was reprioritizing. There's a difference. Maybe. Or maybe this industry just isn't set up for people who want families and careers. Either way, I'm sorry it didn't work out. I wasn't sorry. For the first time in months, I felt excited about work. Excited about the possibility of having both a career I was proud of and time for my daughters. I told Lily and Emma that night over dinner. "Daddy got a new job." "Why?" Lily asked immediately, always suspicious of change. "Because this job will let me work from home sometimes, which means I can be here when you get home from school, help with homework, not miss important things." "What about your old job?" "My old job wanted me to work all the time, travel a lot, miss family stuff. This new job understands that being your dad is my most important job." Emma threw her arms around me. "I'm glad you'll be home more, Daddy." Lily was quieter, but I saw her relax slightly. Stability. That's what my daughters needed above everything else, and I was finally in a position to provide it. That Tuesday, I met the group at Murphy's to share my news. Everyone congratulated me, ordered a round of celebratory shots. "To new beginnings," Tom toasted. "To new beginnings," we all echoed. Rachel pulled me aside as the night was winding down. "I'm really happy for you, Michael. You deserve this." "Thanks. Feels like things are finally moving in the right direction." "They are. And I know this is probably terrible timing, but..." She paused, looking nervous. "Would you want to go to dinner sometime? Like an actual date?" My heart skipped. I thought we were just friends. We are, but I like you, and I think maybe we could be more than friends, if you're interested, if you're ready. Was I ready? 6 months ago, the answer would have been a hard no. But now, I'd been through hell and started to come out the other side. I'd learned things about myself, about what I wanted, about who I wanted to be, and Rachel was kind and funny and understood what I'd been through because she'd been through it too. "I'm interested," I said, "and I think I'm ready, or at least ready to try." Her face lit up. "Yeah? Yeah, but fair warning, I'm rusty at dating, and I have 2 daughters who are my priority, and I'm probably going to be a mess sometimes. I'm rusty too, and I understand about priorities, and we're all a mess sometimes. So, Saturday night, there's a new Italian place in Ukrainian Village I've been wanting to try. It's a date." That Saturday, I dropped the girls' retry H, write the continuation. That Saturday, I dropped the girls at Sarah's, it was her weekend, and spent an embarrassing amount of time getting ready for my first date in over 13 years. I changed shirts 3 times, agonized over cologne, and called Jason for moral support. "Dude, you're overthinking this," he said. "Rachel likes you. She's already seen you at your worst, crying into your 3rd beer at Murphy's. Anything else is an improvement." "That's not as reassuring as you think it is." "Just be yourself." That's who she asked out. I showed up at the restaurant 10 minutes early, nervous as a teenager. Rachel arrived right on time, wearing a blue dress that brought out her eyes. She looked beautiful and relaxed, which made me feel slightly less panicked. "You look nice," I said, immediately feeling stupid. "Nice? That's what I came up with? Thanks. You clean up pretty well yourself." She smiled, and some of my anxiety melted away. Dinner was easy in a way I hadn't expected. We talked about everything: books, movies, our jobs, our families. We laughed about our terrible first marriages and the absurdity of dating in our late 30s. We debated whether deep dish pizza counted as actual pizza. I said yes. She said it was a casserole. We agreed to disagree. "This is nice," Rachel said over dessert. "Weird, but nice." "Weird how?" "I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. For you to suddenly reveal you're actually a serial killer, or you collect porcelain dolls or something equally disturbing." I laughed. "No serial killing, I promise. Though I do have an extensive collection of children's books. Is that disturbing?" "Only if they're all the same book repeated 500 times. Close. We own 4 copies of Wings of Fire, the Dragonette Prophecy, because Lily keeps losing them and panicking. That's actually adorable." After dinner, we walked along the street, the warm May evening perfect for lingering. "I had a really good time," Rachel said when we reached her car. "Me too. Can we do this again?" "I'd like that. But Michael, I need to be honest about something." My stomach dropped. Here it comes. The rejection, the "you're great, but..." "I'm not looking for anything serious right now," she continued. "My divorce is barely final. I'm still figuring out who I am outside of my marriage. I like you. I want to keep seeing you, but I can't promise anything long term." Relief washed over me. That's exactly where I am too. I like you. I want to see where this goes, but I've got 2 daughters who are my first priority, and I'm still healing from everything. "So we take it slow?" "Very slow, glacially slow." She kissed me then, soft and brief but full of promise. "I can do glacially slow." I drove home with a stupid grin on my face, feeling like a teenager again. When had I last felt this light? This hopeful about the future? The next few weeks fell into a comfortable pattern. Rachel and I saw each other once or twice a week. Dinner, movies, long walks, easy conversation. We didn't rush. We didn't put pressure on what this was or where it was going. We just enjoyed each other's company. I didn't tell the girls. Not yet. It was too soon, too uncertain. They'd been through enough upheaval without adding daddy's girlfriend to the mix. But Lily, perceptive as always, noticed something had changed. "You're different lately," she observed one evening while I was making dinner. "Different how?" "I don't know. Happier? You whistle when you're cooking now. You didn't used to do that." "I'm just in a good mood, sweetie." "Is it because of your new job?" "Partly, and partly because things are just better. We're settling into our routine. You guys are doing well. I'm doing well." "Are you dating someone?" The directness of the question caught me off guard. "What makes you ask that?" "You get text messages that make you smile, and last Tuesday you wore cologne to go meet Uncle Jason. You never wear cologne for Uncle Jason." 9 years old and already a detective. "I am seeing someone," I admitted. "Her name is Rachel. She's a friend who's maybe becoming more than a friend, but it's very new and I'm not introducing you to her until I'm sure it's serious. Okay? Is she nice?" "Very nice. She's kind and funny, and she understands about you and Emma being my priority." "Does Mommy know?" "No. And there's no reason to tell her. My dating life isn't her business anymore." Lily processed this, her face serious. "Okay, but if you do introduce us to her, I want to meet her first, before Emma, to make sure she's actually nice and not just pretending." I pulled Lily into a hug. "Deal. When and if that time comes, you'll meet her first." My new job started in early June. Amanda had been right. The culture at her agency was completely different. People left at 5 to pick up their kids. Remote work was normal, even encouraged. Results mattered more than FaceTime. I thrived. Without the constant pressure of impossible hours and guilt about missing family events, my creativity flourished. I landed 2 major clients in my first month, developed campaigns I was genuinely proud of, and managed to make every single one of Lily's soccer games and Emma's dance recitals. "You seem like yourself again," my mother observed one Sunday when we came over for dinner. "Not the stressed, exhausted version, the real Miguel." "I feel like myself again, or maybe a new version of myself, someone who's been through hell but came out stronger." "I'm proud of you, mijo. You handled everything with such grace." I don't know about Grace. I handled it with spite and planning and a really good lawyer. She laughed. Sometimes that's what Grace looks like. In late June, Sarah asked to meet again. We'd fallen into a pattern of meeting once a month to discuss the girls, coordinate schedules, and maintain the co-parenting relationship we'd managed to build from the wreckage of our marriage. "The girls seem happier," she said. "Emma's been talking about how you're home more, how you're playing board games after dinner and taking them to the beach on weekends. The new job helps, and they're adjusting to our routine. Lily's still cold to me." Sarah's voice was small, hurt. "Give her time. She's 9, she's processing a lot, but she is softening. She told me last week that she had fun at your office, that she liked seeing where you work." "Really?" Sarah's face brightened. "She didn't say that to me. She's not ready to show you that she's forgiving you, but she is, slowly. Thank you for encouraging that. You didn't have to. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for Lily. She needs a relationship with her mother, even if that mother let her down." Sarah flinched but didn't argue. "Fair, I deserve that." "Yes, you do." She took a breath. "There's something else I wanted to tell you. I'm seeing someone. His name is David. He's a graphic designer I met through work. It's new, casual, but I wanted you to know before the girls potentially say something." I waited for the surge of jealousy or anger. It didn't come. Instead, I just felt indifferent. "Okay, thanks for telling me." "That's it? Just okay?" "What do you want me to say, Sarah? We're divorced. You can date whoever you want. As long as you're not introducing the girls to him too soon or letting your dating life interfere with your parenting time, it's none of my business." "Are you seeing anyone?" "Yes, actually. Her name is Rachel. She's divorced, too. It's also new and casual." Something flickered across Sarah's face. Surprise? Hurt? I couldn't tell and didn't particularly care. "Well, good. I'm glad you're moving on." "I am. Finally." We finished our coffee in awkward silence. Whatever connection we'd once had was truly dead. We were just two people who shared children and a painful history, trying to navigate a present that neither of us had imagined. As summer progressed, things with Rachel deepened. We fell into an easy rhythm. Dates when the girls were with Sarah, long phone calls when we couldn't see each other, texts throughout the day. She met Jason and the guys, fit seamlessly into our Tuesday night group. She was becoming a real part of my life. In early August, 3 months into our relationship, Rachel brought it up. "When am I going to meet your daughters?" I'd been expecting this conversation. "Soon. Lily asked to meet you first before Emma, to vet you." That's adorable and terrifying. She's protective of me, of Emma, of our family. After everything that happened with Sarah, she's cautious about new people. I get it, and I'm okay with going slow. But Michael, I need to know if this is going somewhere. I like you. I more than like you. But if you're not ready for me to be part of your whole life, including your daughters, then maybe we should pump the brakes. She was right. I couldn't keep her separate from my family forever. Either this relationship had potential or it didn't. And if it did, Rachel needed to meet Lily and Emma. "Okay, let's do it. But we start slow. Maybe just coffee or ice cream with Lily first. Casual, low pressure." "Perfect. I can do casual and low pressure." I talked to Lily that night. "Remember how you said you wanted to meet Rachel first?" Her eyes went wide. "Is it happening?" "If you want it to. We could get ice cream this Saturday, just the 3 of us. You can ask her anything you want, get to know her, see what you think." "What if I don't like her?" "Then we'll figure it out, but I think you will. She's a lot like you, actually. Smart, funny, a little sarcastic." "Okay, but if she's mean or fake, I'm going to tell you." "I expect nothing less." That Saturday, I was more nervous than I'd been on my first date with Rachel. This mattered more. Lily's opinion mattered more. If my daughter didn't approve, it would complicate everything. We met at a small ice cream shop in Lincoln Park. Rachel arrived early, looking casual in jeans and a t-shirt. Smart, I thought. No trying too hard. Lily walked in like she was approaching a job interview, her face serious and evaluating. "Hi, Lily," Rachel said warmly. "I've heard so much about you. Your dad says you're an amazing reader." "I read a lot," Lily acknowledged, still guarded. We got our ice cream and sat outside. Rachel didn't try to force conversation. She just chatted naturally, asking Lily about school and her favorite books and her soccer team. She listened more than she talked. She laughed at Lily's jokes. She didn't try to be her friend or her mother, just an adult who was interested in getting to know her. After an hour, Lily excused herself to go to the bathroom. As soon as she was gone, I leaned toward Rachel. "So, how do you think it's going?" "I think she's suspicious but softening. She's a tough customer. I like her." When Lily came back, she seemed more relaxed. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course," Rachel said. "Do you have kids?" "No. My ex-husband and I talked about it, but we never did. I kind of regret that now. Do you want kids?" "Someday, maybe. But I'm also okay if that doesn't happen. I think there are lots of ways to have meaningful relationships with children. As a step-parent, an aunt, a mentor." Lily absorbed this. "What happened with your marriage? Why did you get divorced?" "My husband wasn't kind to me. He said mean things and made me feel bad about myself. It took me a long time to realize that wasn't normal or okay, so I left." "Was he cheating on you?" Rachel glanced at me, surprised by the directness. "No, he just wasn't a good partner. Sometimes people aren't right for each other, and staying together makes both people unhappy." "My mom cheated on my dad, with her boss. That's why they got divorced." "I know. Your dad told me. That must have been really hard for you." "It was. I was mad at her for a long time. I'm still kind of mad." "That's okay. You're allowed to be mad." "My dad says I have to give her a chance, that people can change." "Your dad's right. People can change. But they have to want to and work hard at it. And even if they do change, you're still allowed to feel however you feel about what happened." Lily looked at her father, then back at Rachel. "Are you going to hurt my dad?" My heart stopped. Rachel met Lily's gaze steadily. "I hope not, but I can't promise I won't. People hurt each other sometimes even when they don't mean to. What I can promise is that I'll always be honest with him and with you. And if something doesn't work out between me and your dad, it won't be because I lied or cheated. It'll be because we tried and it didn't work." Lily thought about this. "Okay, that's fair." On the drive home, Lily was quiet. I didn't push, just let her process. Finally, she said, "I like her." "Yeah?" "Yeah. She's nice, but not fake nice, and she didn't try too hard, and she listened when I talked." A pause. "But I'm still going to watch her. Make sure she doesn't hurt you." "Deal." 2 weeks later, Rachel met Emma. It went even better. Emma, less guarded than her sister, warmed up immediately. She showed Rachel her dance moves, her art projects, her extensive rock collection. By the end of the afternoon, Emma was holding Rachel's hand and asking when she could see her again. "I love her," Emma declared that night. "She's so nice, Daddy. Can she be our new mommy?" "Whoa, slow down, baby. Rachel is my girlfriend. That doesn't make her your mommy. You already have a mommy." "But can she be like a bonus mommy?" "Maybe someday. But right now, she's just Rachel. And that's enough." Lily, listening from the other room, called out, "Emma, don't be weird. Just because Dad has a girlfriend doesn't mean everything changes." But things were changing. Slowly, carefully, but changing nonetheless. I was building a new life from the ruins of my old one. I had a job I loved, daughters who were healing, and a relationship with someone who understood what I'd been through because she'd been through it too. Full Circle October arrived with crisp air and golden leaves. It had been exactly 1 year since I'd first tracked Sarah's phone to the Riverside Hotel. 1 year since my world had shattered. 1 year since I'd started the painful process of rebuilding. The girls were thriving. Lily had made the advanced reading group at school and was writing her own fantasy novel. Emma had scored 3 goals in her last soccer game and couldn't stop talking about it. They'd adjusted to the custody arrangement, and while they still sometimes struggled with having two homes, they'd found their rhythm. Sarah had mostly kept her promises. Her new consulting business was doing well, and she'd maintained consistent parenting time. She still missed the occasional event, old habits died hard, but she showed up more often than not. Lily was slowly, cautiously rebuilding trust with her mother. Emma had never stopped adoring her. Rachel had become a fixture in our lives. She came to family dinners, joined us for trips to the zoo, taught Lily how to sketch, and helped Emma practice her dance routines. She never tried to replace Sarah, just carved out her own space in our family. My mother adored her. "She's good for you, mijo. She makes you smile again." "She does." "Are you going to marry her?" "Mama, it's only been 6 months. Your father proposed to me after 3 months. When you know, you know." I laughed. "We're taking it slow. Both of us have been burned. We're not rushing into anything." But privately, I'd started thinking about the future, about what it might look like with Rachel in it permanently, about whether I was ready to trust someone that completely again. In mid-October, I got an unexpected call from Tyler Morrison. "Michael Rivera, this is Tyler Morrison." I nearly dropped my phone. "What do you want?" "I know this is awkward, but I need to talk to you. In person. Please. It's important." Every instinct told me to refuse, but curiosity won out. "Fine, 1 drink, that's it." We met at a bar downtown, not Murphy's, somewhere neutral. Tyler looked terrible. He'd aged 10 years since I'd last seen him, his face gaunt and exhausted. "Thank you for meeting me," he said. "You have 30 minutes. Talk." He took a breath. "I want to apologize. For the affair. For my part in destroying your marriage. I was selfish and reckless, and I hurt you and your family. You're a little late with that apology." "I know. I should have reached out months ago, but I was dealing with my own mess, the bankruptcy, losing everything, having to start over. I don't feel sorry for you. I'm not asking you to. I need you to know that I regret it. All of it. Sarah is a wonderful person, but what we did was wrong, and I'm sorry." I studied him. He seemed genuine, broken in a way I recognized because I'd been there too. "Why now? Why reach out now?" "Because I'm in recovery. AA, part of the program is making amends to people you've hurt. You're at the top of my list. Your sobriety isn't my responsibility." "I know, but I needed to say it anyway. I destroyed your marriage. I helped Sarah betray you. I participated in planning to defraud you. Those are things I have to live with, things I'm trying to make right. You can't make it right. What's done is done. I know, but I can acknowledge it. I can own it. I can be the kind of person who faces his mistakes instead of running from them." I took a long drink. "You want to know the ironic thing? You did me a favor. My marriage was already dying. I just didn't know it. Sarah and I were never right for each other. We wanted different things, had different values. The affair just exposed what was already there." "That's generous of you." "It's not generous. It's honest. I spent months being angry, being bitter, wanting revenge. But eventually I realized that holding on to that anger was only hurting me. So I let it go. Not for your sake or Sarah's. For mine." Tyler nodded slowly. "You're a better man than I am." "I'm just a man who's trying to move forward. You should try it sometime." We finished our drinks in silence. As we were leaving, Tyler said, "For what it's worth, Sarah really loved you. She was just too broken to know how to show it." "Yeah, well, love without action is just words." I walked to my car feeling oddly lighter. I'd faced the man who'd helped destroy my marriage, and I'd discovered I didn't hate him anymore. I didn't forgive him. Forgiveness was too strong a word, but I didn't carry rage toward him either. He was just another broken person making bad choices, like so many of us. That evening, Rachel came over after the girls were asleep. We sat on the couch, her head on my shoulder, comfortable in the silence. "Tyler Morrison called me today," I said. Her head came up. "What? Why?" I told her about the meeting, the apology, the conversation. "How do you feel about it?" she asked. Surprisingly okay. A year ago, I would have wanted to punch him, but now I just feel nothing. He's irrelevant to my life. That's growth. Or apathy? Hard to tell the difference sometimes. She laughed, then turned serious. "Michael, I need to tell you something." My stomach dropped. Here it comes. The "this isn't working" or the "I'm not ready" or whatever speech that ends relationships. "I love you," she said. Not what I was expecting. I know we said we'd take it slow. I know we both have baggage. But I love you. I love your daughters. I love the life we're building. And I needed you to know that. I pulled her close. I love you too. I have for a while. I was just scared to say it. Because of Sarah? Because of everything. Because loving someone means trusting them with your heart, and my heart's been broken enough for one lifetime. I can't promise I won't break it. No one can promise that. But I can promise I'll try my hardest not to, that I'll be honest and present and fight for us when things get hard. That's all I can ask for. We sat there holding each other, and I felt the last piece of my broken heart start to heal. Sarah had destroyed what we had, but in the ruins, I'd built something better, something real. In early November, Sarah asked to meet again. I braced myself for drama or demands, but instead she seemed calm, peaceful even. "I wanted to tell you that I'm grateful," she said. "For what?" "For filing for divorce. For forcing me to face what I'd become. For giving me the chance to be better." I didn't know what to say to that. "I know I hurt you," she continued. "I know I hurt the girls. I know I destroyed something that could have been good if I'd just shown up. But losing you, losing our family, it was the wake-up call I needed. I'm glad you're doing better, for Lily and Emma's sake. I'm getting remarried to David. We've been seeing each other for 6 months, and he proposed last week." Another emotional test. I waited for jealousy or anger. Again, nothing came. "Congratulations." "Really? You're okay with it?" "Sarah, I'm with someone I love, someone who treats me well, someone who shows up. I'm happy. Your happiness or lack thereof doesn't affect mine anymore. So yes, congratulations. I hope he's good to you." "He is. He's kind and patient and present, all the things I should have valued in you." We weren't right for each other. We probably never were. "I think you're right, but I'm still sorry for wasting those years, for hurting you." "I'm not sorry. Those years gave me Lily and Emma, and everything that happened after taught me what I actually want in life. So maybe it all worked out the way it was supposed to." After she left, I thought about what I'd said. Did I really believe that? That the pain and betrayal and destruction had been necessary? That I'd needed to have my heart broken to find myself? Maybe. Or maybe I was just making peace with a past I couldn't change. That Thanksgiving, I had a full house. My mother and father, my sister Rosa and her family, Rachel, Lily, and Emma. Sarah had the girls for Christmas this year, so I got Thanksgiving. We cooked together, laughed, told stories, played board games. At dinner, I looked around the table at all the people I loved. My daughters, healthy and happy. Rachel, who'd chosen to build a life with me despite both our scars. My family, who'd supported me through everything. "What are you thankful for, Daddy?" Emma asked. I thought about my answer. I'm thankful for second chances, for hard lessons that make you stronger, for people who love you enough to stick around when things get messy. "That's a lot of things," Lily observed. "I've got a lot to be thankful for." Later, after everyone had left and the girls were asleep, Rachel and I sat on the back porch despite the cold. "You okay?" she asked. "You've been quiet." Just thinking about where I was a year ago, sitting in my car watching my wife walk into a hotel, feeling like my world was ending. And now, Now I'm sitting here with you, with my daughters safe inside, with a life I've built from scratch. It's not the life I planned, but it's a good life. Better than the one you had? I thought about that. My marriage to Sarah had been comfortable but hollow. I'd been going through the motions, pretending everything was fine while slowly drowning. The affair had been catastrophic, but it had also set me free. Yeah, I said finally. Better. Harder, but better. I'm glad, because I like this life too. Our weird, patchwork, beautifully imperfect life. Marry me, I said. She turned to me, eyes wide. What? Marry me. I know it's fast. I know we said we'd take it slow. But I love you. I want to build a life with you. I want to make this official. Michael, are you sure? After everything with Sarah? I'm sure. Sarah taught me what I don't want. You've shown me what I do want. So yeah, I'm sure. But if you're not, if it's too soon... Yes, she said, tears streaming down her face. Yes, I'll marry you. We sat there on that cold November night, holding each other, two broken people who'd found a way to be whole together.